to my guzzlers. Nice red wine. Jammy Red Brew again. Got some new wine glasses as well. Going down very well. Saw these glasses at a wine bar we went to last week. Decided we like them, so we bought some. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with tonight. Well, apart from the wine who's going inside of me. But we're cooking a chicken dish tonight. And this chicken dish is essentially from the Yemen, although it is considered the national dish of most of the Arabian Peninsula. Tonight we're cooking Machboos or something like that. Basically, it's Omani chicken one pot rice. It's all cooked in one pot, which is not the one pot that a lot of Americans talk about. No, right, hang on, that's the instant pot. Anyway, it's all going to be cooked in my Dutch oven. Oh, don't knock me wine over. Been there, done that, haven't we? So, Omani chicken one pot rice. So I've got one onion, and I peeled it, and we're just going to chop that up because the first thing we're going to do is cook it. Now, I've got some other ingredients. I've obviously got chicken. Now, we're making the chicken one, but actually this dish doesn't have to be made with chicken. Okay. So I've got some chicken thighs, skinless and boneless. Now, the actual recipe for this one, like some of these other ones I've done, where it says about using chicken, it's talking about taking a whole chicken and chopping it up into pieces. About, 8 different sort of segments, if you like. Can't be planning around like that. So instead, bought chicken thighs. And knowing what the wife's like, I said to her, you are quite entitled to buy the skinless, boneless versions this time. That is allowed. All right. I know sometimes she buys the skinless, boneless version, or the skinless versions, when I tell her it needs to have the skin on because it's part of the dish. And she goes, oh dear, I accidentally bought ones without skin on, or without skins on. It doesn't matter in this case, all right? So I said to you, this is like a national dish, considered national dish across the Arabian Peninsula. It's actually primarily the dish from the Yemen. It's also found in southern Iran and in the Gaza area of Palestine, as well as all the other Arabian states, if you like, or countries or whatever. Now, most of the Gulf states know, or the Arabian Peninsula know it as Machboos, or my pronunciation is crap. I've no idea. It probably doesn't sound anything like that. Which is a word that means to compress, because the way this is going to be cooked, it's done in one pot with the meat effectively being compressed by the rice on top. Okay. In Saudi Arabia, it's known as kabsa. Well, it's spelled K-A-B-S-A. I'm saying kabsa, it might not be kabsa, I don't know. Which derives from the word kabs, K-A-B-S, which means the act of putting the rice on the meat once it's cooked. There you go, that's a long sentence for one word. So, get me Dutch oven, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a bit of a medium heat. What's that? Bloody spider crawling all over that. Don't want the extra protein, thank you very much. You won't like that when that goes on anyway. And then into that, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of oil. So, that oil's getting heated up, low to medium heat. So I'm going to put the onion in there, and we're going to fry that about 5 minutes or so. Okay, I'm using a red onion mainly because we've got loads of red onions. But ordinary brown onions, or whatever you want to call them. So we want to sort of gently fry them, like I say, for about 5 minutes. Don't touch them. We're not cast iron. until they're slightly browning, which is going to be a little bit difficult to see because it's red onion. But anyway, that aside. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to take about 3 cloves of garlic. Now I've got a bit more than 3 cloves of garlic, mainly because this particular garlic bulb was getting a bit tired. Now, I said to you, you don't have to have chicken in this dish. It can be a different sort of meat. I mean, obviously in the case it's not a chicken one pot rice, is it? But it almost always has rice in it, and it's usually basmati rice, and then it is supplemented. I'm trying to get the bloody skin off of this garlic clove. It's then supplemented with various spices, sometimes some sort of vegetables. Now we're adding tomato to this, sort of. Remember me and tomatoes. You can add peppers, but the version we are using is from a recipe from a book, the Omani Kitchen and Beyond, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember. I think it's Dinah or Dina, somebody wrote this one, but I can't remember. But that's where this recipe is coming from, and she does say in it that it is actually her mother's version, which is a little bit more simplified. Okay, and given that it's still going to take over an hour to cook, I decided we'd stick with this rather than look up the original, you know, the traditional version, if you like. So I've got this garlic, and then we're going to roughly chop it. We're going to want 2 green chillies, although if you don't like your chilli, they're optional. You can leave them out. They're not being left out, they're going in. It does actually, this recipe also calls for green peppers, which aren't necessarily optional, but they are in this fucking game because I'm not putting them in. We're going to want some green peppers. Now, the other thing is dried limes. They're actually quite an integral part of it, so we're having dried limes. You want some cardamom pods, some cinnamon sticks. Like I say, a spice mix, I'll tell you about that in a minute. You've got your rice, tomato puree, some tomatoes, I'm using passata, some water and some blanched almonds, and then to garnish at the end some fresh coriander and pomegranate seeds, although they are all optional. You could use fried onions, and all. We're not, we're just going to go for the coriander and pomegranate seeds. And obviously you want some chicken. Have I forgotten anything? Probably. I don't know. And those of you more observant might suddenly notice there's a bottle of wine there. It wasn't earlier. That was because I just finished off with one from last night. But anyway, we're going to cook these for a little bit longer. Like I say, we want to start getting them slightly softened, slightly browned. And so I'm going to just roughly chop up that garlic, and then with your chilli you can either just halve them or you can just roughly chop them. So I might just roughly chop them. I think at the moment then that's it. Cheers. Right, while we're finishing cooking the onions, I've roughly chopped the garlic and the chilli, 2 green chillies, like I said. Like I say to you, the spices that we're going to add, we're going to actually add a spice mix, a baharat or bahara spice mix, 3 tablespoons. But primarily the spices in this Machboos or kabsa, whatever you want to call it, is the main flavour, if you like. That's where all the flavour comes from. Black pepper, cloves, cardamom, saffron, cinnamon, black lime, bay leaves and nutmeg. But the traditional thing is these things. Dried limes. Okay, a dried lime is a lumi. Not a lumi, it is a lumi. Okay, and we've got 2 of them. and they're going to add a bit of a tangy note. You might not think it looking at them, but that is a traditional ingredient. And like I said, the meat, we're using chicken, but it could be goat, could be lamb, could be camel. Not many camels around here. Tesco's don't sell it anyway. Beef, fish or shrimp. So it can actually be a seafood based one. Okay, we're making chicken. Chicken one pot. But often, as well as that spice mix, almonds, or whatever you want to bloody call them, pine nuts. Actually, I've got some pine nuts. Could have put pine nuts in it, but never mind. I'll have to find them. Cut my arse. I've got my almonds out anyway. Peanuts. I haven't got any peanuts anyway. Onion. Well, we got the onion here, haven't we? And sultanas. I'm not putting sultanas in it. I'm not sure if I've got any. The wife will go, I eat them anyway. So we're just following the recipe from the book, but I'm just saying to you, these are extras or alternatives that you can add. Vegetables are basically onions and tomatoes. We're using passata because I don't like tomatoes. If you were doing this properly, you would have some tomato puree like we're going to do, which we will add after you've added the spice mix. Cook this for a bit. And then you would also add 3 tomatoes finely chopped. Not doing that, so we're adding a bit of passata instead of that. And you'd also add, in this case, about half of a red or green pepper. Not doing that either. They remind me too much of tomato skins. Even the green ones. And then, like I say, you finally garnish it, in our case with coriander and almonds and pomegranate seeds. You could use fried onion, like I said. You could use raisins. We're not. The wife would also turn her nose up at them. Right, I think these are starting to soften. So I'm going to give them another minute or 2, and then we'll add the spices. Let's start getting the spices in. So I'm going to add 2 cinnamon sticks. In they go. I want some cardamom pods. It's really weird. A lot of these, I mean this one doesn't, but a lot of these recipes say green cardamom pods. I can never bloody find green cardamom pods. They're always this funny brown colour. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. That'll do. In they go. And then, like I say, I've got this mixed spice mix, 3 tablespoons of that, which is essentially all them spices I mentioned earlier. Sort of. And then we're just going to add the garlic and the ginger. I remember to use my dough scraper again. Makes it a lot easier, I tell you. In that goes. And then these limes. Now what I'm going to do with these limes, it didn't actually say do it, but because these are quite rock hard, I'm just going to make some little cuts in them. And then I'm chucking them in there. And then we're going to fry that for about 3 minutes. It's surprising, there's not an awful lot of oil in this. I put 3 tablespoonfuls in, like I said. We're going to add another 3 tablespoons later. I'm half tempted to put some in now. But anyway, the wife is now trying to get in the door. And I did tell her. But the wife is trying to get in the door. So, I'm going to cook these for 2 or 3 minutes. So, that's giving them a few minutes. So now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. Okay. I'm just going to briefly stir all that through. And this is where now you're going to want your chicken. Now, like I say, her recipe calls for a whole chicken chopped up into about 8 bits. I've got 6 chicken thighs, boneless and skinless. And what? No, I'm just moving. Oh, got what I do with them. Don't you dare go anywhere. I'm not going to trim all the crap off them. Okay, because we're cooking all this up. So in they go, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's got some skin on that one. A lot of skin. I know somebody's got a little bit of skin on. I had a lot on it. So in they go, and what we're now going to do, just washing the hands. we're now just going to toss this round in here. Basically, we're essentially searing that chicken in like the non-existent oil that's in there, but also just, we're not trying to cook it at this stage because obviously it's going to cook later. I'm going to cook Ron. No, not you, Ron. Later on. Just before you get grand ideas here, that Ron, not cooking this for you, Ron. I'm not cooking for you, Ron. I'm cooking for later on. Ron knows what I'm talking about. Actually, this will be a test to see if Ron's actually paying attention and watching this. And just so you don't feel left out, and you, Christine, as well. Even though I'm really talking about Ron later on. So, we're just going to sort of stir fry this in a way. I'm just trying to sear the meat all over. And then, like I say, this is where we would then, well, not then, but in a bit, be adding our chopped tomatoes and chopped peppers. So I've got some passata there. And then, I don't know what I'm holding that in my hand. And then we'll sort of be ready for the sort of the longer cooking stage. So it's going to be about 10 minutes to cook this chicken. You could just leave it for about 5 minutes and then turn the chicken over. I'm just going to sort of constantly just keep it going. So like I say, we're not trying to cook the chicken because we're going to be putting the water in there, we're going to be putting rice in there, and then we're going to be sealing it up. Now, her recipe, I mean, this is a good heavy lid, but her recipe says about traditionally what you would do is get a tea towel, which sounds a bit dodgy to me, and wrap it around the top to effectively seal the lid on. I can imagine that's setting fire to the fucking kitchen, so we're not doing that. But this is a nice heavy lasagne. By the way, there are some recipes that you make pastry. I've not made one of these yet. I've made some dishes which that's what they do, but I haven't done it. But you actually use pastry and you put it around the outside. So when you've got the lid on, you're basically putting the pastry around there. The pastry obviously sort of hardens and it seals it all in. But I'm not wrapping a tea towel around there and going away and then coming back and finding the kitchen on bleeding fire. So, like I say, about 10 minutes time, we'll move to the next stage. And I might need some more wine by then in my new glass. I'm now just going to add a generous pinch of salt. That's a bit more than a generous pinch of salt. I'm going to add my tomatoes, in this case my passata, but like I say, it was about 3 chopped tomatoes. So that's gone in there. I'm just going to stir that through, and then we're going to need our litre of water before we enter like the chicken cooking phase. Now, we're cooking the meat in here, but there are 3 sort of traditional methods, all from the Yemen, of cooking the meat. You've got the mandi, or mandi, whatever. This was you basically had an oven, which was a hole in the ground, and I presume that you had the hot coals or embers in there. You put the meat in, covered it over and cooked it in there. That apparently comes from the Hadramut, I don't know. The second method which is the kabsa version, where you cook the meat on flat stones over hot embers. And third method was in a pressure cooker. Like I say, all of those are Yemeni. Is it Yemeni? Well, from the Yemen anyway. Traditional methods of cooking the meat. We're cooking it in this pot. Okay. that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to add that litre of water. Now it might look like quite a lot of water going in there, but remember we're going to put rice in there in a bit. So, my lines float. Right, like football. Talking of which, it's the Euros on at the minute. By the time you see this, Euros will be over. England will probably be out. Especially if they play like they did against Denmark last night. There you go, there's a little plug as to what time I'm recording this. Anyway, what we're now going to do is we're now going to turn this up to a sort of about a medium heat. And I'm just going to mop up that mess I've made there. This is splash water. Probably down me dog and burger jumper shirt. I call it a jumper, isn't it? And this is where we're going to put a lid on. And we're now just going to cook that. So we want to basically cook the chicken through for 20 minutes. Now, I've got 600 grams basmati rice. I've got 50 grams of blanched almonds. But once we get the rice in there to cook, we're going to roast the almonds. But for now, apart from topping up the wine, which I better go a bit steady on, because we still got quite a while to cook. So you're still going to want some vegetable oil. I don't know if I mentioned what oil it was. It's vegetable oil that we used. You could use olive, I suppose, but I'm using my Cotswold Gold rapeseed oil. And I know there's a little bit of controversy over rapeseed oil, but it ain't going to go away, is it? And actually I need to buy some more. But anyway, all that aside, we're now just going to cook that through on a medium heat for 20 minutes. Right, that's had 20 minutes. So I'm going to take that lid off of there, and that's bubbling away. And I'll turn that right down to its lowest setting. Where's my thingy gone? There it is. So, just going to give that a little bit of a stir. My lines are still bobbing away there. And what I'm going to do now is take that 600 grams of rice, and we're just going to spread that as best we can all over the top. But of course at this stage there's a lot of liquid in there, so most of it's sunk. And then we're going to add another 3 tablespoons of oil, which I'm just going to drizzle over the top. Get rid of that out of the way. And like I say, I've now put that down on its lowest heat. That's the knob on that's not too hot, as you actually said to the visual. And so now we're just going to put that on there, and now we're going to cook that for about another 20 minutes. The idea being that the water and the steam will cook the rice, make it nice and fluffy. Now, the recipe didn't say whether to wash the rice, as I haven't washed the rice. Okay, I might have to wash my glass out with a bit more of this yummy red roux. But what we're going to do while we're waiting on that is take a mini little pan, and I'm just going to, when the thing decides to stay on, just gently dry roast. Oi, what do you think you're doing? About 50 grams of blanched almonds. Now again, it just said blanched almonds. I don't know whether she means whole out blanched almonds. When you buy blanched almonds in Tesco's or any other supermarket, they come as like this, like whole, pretty much whole or half, whatever. I do have some flaked almonds, but it didn't actually say flaked almonds, it said blanched almonds. So I've got the whole ones. And, oops, slam that down a bit. And then I'm going to take about 50 grams. So I've got some pomegranate seeds there. It's convenient to come in a little tub. And now I'm just going to take some coriander, just chop the top off of that. And I'm just going to chop that up. And so along with those gently roasted almonds, this chopped coriander, and then pomegranate seeds, that will be our sort of garnish for our final dish. Did I start timing? Yeah, I did. I've got 18 minutes left. So that's that done. It's an annoying sound, isn't it? So like I say, we're just going to... Glasses over there, mate. We're just going to roast them off a little bit, and then I'm obviously going to turn them off the heat, and then we're just waiting on that. So about 20 minutes or until the rice is cooked. Now, traditionally, this would be served to a family on a large platter. And obviously, being it's an Arabic country, it's customary to eat with your right hand. Although, you know, for those people who aren't used to that, it is quite acceptable to use utensils, and they would be supplied if you were eating like in a restaurant. But also, it would be considered polite that before you start eating, you would basically say, now I do apologise for the pronunciation, I think it's Bismillah or Bismillah, which is basically in praise of Allah. And then when you finished your meal, you would say Halamadallah, or something like that, sorry, which basically says, again, praise to be Allah. Praise be to Allah, sorry. Which is basically saying, thanking Allah for the food that you've just enjoyed. But obviously, you wouldn't be drinking like I am. But that is almost our dish ready. So I'm just going to sort of carry on sort of toasting them, and then the next time I'll see you will be about 20 minutes or so time. It might be a little bit longer, depending on the rice, when we'll be ready to serve and eat. My wine glass is in the other room ready for eating. So let's take the lid off of that. Looking good. So, obviously, there's a lot of rice on top, because that's where we put the rice. So let me just scoop up some of that rice, and then see if I can get down deep, see if I can find some chicken. There's a bit of chicken there. So the way I've done it, we don't obviously want the cinnamon stick. There should be 3 bits of chicken each. 1, 2. There's another one. 3. Got to be careful because cardamom pods are in there. So, I want some fresh coriander, some of them toasted almonds. Let me get a spoon, and then I've got some pomegranate seeds here. Let's sprinkle some of them on top. And so now, let's give this a go. So obviously there's a lot of rice in this. So let's just try a bit of rice. See if we can get any of the flavours. I've got a bit of pomegranate in there, a bit of coriander in it. A lot of tang from the pomegranate. So let's try a bit of rice on its own. See what flavours like. I was expecting a bit more heat. There's a little bit of heat from them chillies, and probably from that spice mix, but I wouldn't say it's overpowering. Let's try a bit of chicken, see what that's like. Talking really hot. There's a little bit of sweetness to it, which I would have said initially was from the pomegranate, but that didn't have any pomegranate in that. So it's obviously part of the spice mix. It's a bit like a biryani, really, but different flavours. Very, very nice. Oh. There you have your national dish of Yemen and other parts of the Arabian Peninsula. Machboos, or kabsa, depending where you come from. I wouldn't say they get an awful lot of zing, if you like, from the limes. I think there's a little hint of citrus there, but who cares? Very, very nice. Better serve the wife now.